one of the most common questions asked of readers to authors is, where do you find inspiration for your stories? And somebody sent this question in from Instagram, and so I want to ask you that, but also I would like, if you're willing to do so, to maybe use this as an opportunity to lead us into a discussion about your book, The Fear, because I know that
Mm.
in talking to you, you have shared that so many of the scenes, the specific scenes in that book, and especially the setting, are straight out of your daily life and the things that
Mhm.
you experienced living in Texas and going through the pandemic. So lead us down that road. Where do you find the inspiration for your stories, and then dovetail into The Fear so we can talk about that a bit?
Yeah, yeah. So the inspiration question, the question that writers will be answering until the end of time, um, is essentially, in my opinion, never going to be satisfied.
Yeah.
Because it's different for everyone, and often the answer is a shrug of the shoulders and everywhere. Because as writers, we are observers. It sounds really pretentious, but we are observers of the human condition, and we also uh, are constantly beat with probably the number one advice given to writers, which is write what you know. And so for me, it's really an osmosis of my lived experience. What I pick up from stories that I consume, um, what I pick up from the people I know, and what I live through myself. And so yeah, you wanted me to transition into The Fear, uh, and that one is actually, I think, a very uh, singular example, because I think it might be the only time when we find ourselves, I should say, hopefully, it's the only time we find ourselves all collectively living through this traumatic experience. And so, writing The Fear, like you had said, it takes place in Austin, which I had just moved to before the pandemic. And so in my book, it is these two women who have just moved to Austin, right before the pandemic hit and everything closes down, and um, they live in this apartment, um, that is kind of this anomaly in this uh, rich neighborhood that's in the valleys of these vast mountains. And for me, I found myself stuck inside, just like everyone else, and no job, no work to keep me occupied. And I needed to find a way to get through this. And so writing The Fear in that way was one of the most cathartic things that I've
Mm.
done. And I mean, it's like you said, I literally just took my life and wrote about it. You know, I took my apartment, I took precise stories, um, that I'd heard from my neighbors at this apartment complex, and put some of my neighbors in the book, and all these things. And there was a time where I had no idea how I was going to do my laundry because I didn't have any quarters. And I finally found a bank that had opened so I could go inside with a mask on and try to get some quarters. And they're like, "Oh, the Federal Reserve has stopped minting coins, so we can't give you any." And I was just like living in this moment where I didn't know how to do my laundry, which is such a strange problem to have, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and so I was like, well, this is going in the book, little things like that. And I think most of all, I do think that it is this unique experience that everyone can identify with. But most of all, it was hugely helpful to me while I was writing it.
Mm.
You know, it was my therapy. It was my stress ball that I was squeezing until we were out of this thing. And well, I should say until I thought we'd be out of this thing. But you know, I published it a good uh, almost a full year before I was vaccinated. You know.
Yeah. And it's funny, so much of what you said just now is just one of those examples where life is stranger than fiction. I mean, who
Hmm.
who would have thought that someday you'd make a statement like, "So I was able to, put a mask on and go into the bank."
Yeah,
Like they
yeah.
wanted you to wear a mask to go
Yeah.
into a bank.